All right, we're live. So today I'm very honored and very lucky to have my mentor, Al Stasek, here on with me. It's good to have you, my man.
Man, great to be here. Thanks for having me on. Happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday. Yeah, for sure. What even is Friday in real estate anymore, you know?
Right.
So talking to you, like, you know, recently you were saying that it's probably a good idea that I share my story of the first calendar year at EXP, because it's been a crazy one, and in a year that all this other stuff has been going on in the world that should have made it, you know, a lot harder to, you know, expand your business and everything else. EXP has helped me triple it this year, which is absolutely insane, and it's been a crazy year for me and a lot of fun doing it. So
that's awesome,
yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, it's been record breaking for some, and some have struggled, and I think it just really kind of depends on, you know, the area, because certain areas, because of the pandemic, have been completely shut down and just haven't been able to do anything, where others have been left open completely. Namely, where I'm at here in Ohio, we were named an essential business, so we've been allowed to stay open and still show homes and still practice, you know, the safe practices as far as distancing and stuff like that. But we've really, you know, kept trudging forward. But man, watching you guys up there in Canada, love you, your dad, your entire group, just great leaders. And, you know, from the day, you know, we met, I was excited to partner with you guys. But, you know, let's talk about, you're a young guy, you're 25 years old. We literally, before we were in the backstage, before we went live, we were talking about when I was 25 years old, which was a long time ago. And we're not going to say how many years, but I got into the business when I was 25. You got a little bit of a jump coming right out of college, right? And with the income that you're earning right now, it is more than quadruple than where I was in the same, you know, my first year in real estate. And obviously my average sales price here is much different, but tell us a little bit about you. You came out of college and you probably, in my opinion, started your career in real estate the way anyone who's thinking of starting their career in real estate, listen close, because this is just an indicator of success. Tell us a little bit about who you started working for, what in particular you actually did for this group, this real estate group, and then kind of take us a little bit into the transition of you getting your license and what that looked like then and your pain points, and then, you know, where we're at today.
Yeah, so I was going to school in Ottawa for marketing. I actually didn't really want to get into real estate. I knew it was kind of in the back of my mind. You know, my dad does it, so it was something that, you know, has always been a thought. But I landed an internship, which started as an internship and ended up being an inside sales agent job for one of the biggest teams, the biggest team now, I think, in Ottawa. So there were two younger guys that I worked for who obviously had a huge team. And I got to watch them grow. They actually, when I came on with them, they grew the fastest growing RE/MAX in the world for that year. So to be a part of like that high level of success was really, really exciting for me. And I was like, well, the second you get in a room with guys like that, you're like, I'm sold on this business, right? But more specifically, what I did was I was an inside sales agent. So essentially cold calling. They call it warm calling because people have put their information and stuff, but nobody wants to get a phone call from anybody, I find. So basically getting the phone slammed on me, you know, 100 times a day. And trying to get book appointments for the agents that I was working with until I got my license. And then once I got my license, I came back to Kingston because obviously, you know, it's all about who you know, and knowing a lot more people in my hometown, my dad being here, it just made sense. But yeah, it was good. It was definitely good to start off with a team as high paced as that, because Kingston's a smaller town. We wouldn't really have anything that equates to that level of volume or anything like that, sales price and stuff like that. So it was definitely a pretty cool way to start my real estate career for sure.
That's awesome, man. And I'm just drawing correlations between you and I. So I just kind of discovered one other thing. My dad was in real estate growing up, and very much like you, I said I would never be a real estate agent. I heard him upstairs in our upstairs office of our house. He worked a full-time job on the docks, loading trucks, you know, a union job. He would come home, make calls. He would call one street a day and just get hung up on and swore at. And I'm like, I am never being a real estate agent. But going back to your calling, I want to boil this down because anyone listening to this that's either in real estate or thinking of getting into real estate, listen very close. I want you to take away the principles, not just the story. He's got an amazing story of success. We'll get into that. But the principles behind the success, he literally got in there, was, getting hung up on, making the dials. He was cutting his teeth the way I feel everyone should, even if you're not going to run your business on cold calling. I don't know anyone who likes to cold call, by the way. But what you learned was a skill that can never be taken away from you. Tell us a little bit about the transition and when you decided, all right, enough's enough. You got the skills. Now you're going to transition. What caused you to make the decision to say, you know what, I'm going to make the shift, get my license, and start growing my real estate career?
Seeing how much money those guys were making, being the inside sales. I mean, that's why I think in any big team, the inside sales agent is the hardest role to fill, because you need somebody who's completely relentless, that has to, be able to work hard, but also doesn't really want to be on the road like crazy, because the inside sales agent has more of a little bit more of like a regimented, schedule. Whereas, as you know, as realtors, we don't have a 9-to-5 job by any means. So seeing that opportunity, I think, definitely fired me up to get my license and come back. I don't think I ever understood how much work it would take to get a business going, because this is year 4 now, and I finally feel like I'm starting to get some traction. It's really hard, especially like when I got my license, I think I was like 21. So to have that in the back of my mind too, that who wants to buy a house from a 21-year-old kid, when I didn't even own a house myself, was definitely something that I had to struggle with and get past over the first couple of years, for sure. And building any business in any industry, I think can definitely be a challenge. So getting into that was, I mean, obviously it was kind of like a natural progression, knowing my dad had a team here and everything else, but seeing the opportunity that was available and how much money I saw these guys making off the calls I was making was definitely kind of how I knew that I was going to make that transition, for sure.
Sure. So you just do it. It's a natural progression when you think about it, because you're doing all the hard work, the grunt work, that upfront work, but it's really part of the process that once you learn that upfront skill, you're never going to have to worry about where your next client's going to ever come from for the rest of your career. The number one, we've worked with thousands of real estate agents all around the country, Canada, US, you name it. And the number one problem when they come to Mike and Jay and myself looking to help, like for coaching, the number one problem that we can help them solve is, where's my next transaction coming from? Where's my next client coming from? Because typically they're on the roller coaster. 1 month's great. Next month you're starving. Feast, famine, feast, famine. And the number one reason why is they either don't have a skill or the knowledge to create a pipeline of new business that's constantly coming in. And a lot of people get up and they say, you know what, I'm going to cold call today. Well, that's like saying, I'm going to go to the gym today, and then for the rest of the month, you're not going to go. Right. You're not going to see the results. So, like, again, going back to the principle, there's that book called Eat That Frog. Eat That Frog. The book Eat the Frog is basically let's get the hardest thing out of the way the first thing in the day. And typically that's going to be, making your prospecting calls, getting through the list. Now, they're warm. They're not cold calls. Maybe they're warm-ish, but they're real estate internet leads, and they do need to be called. They need to be text messaged. Well, since we're dipping into your success here, I'm assuming that you're working real estate leads now. Would that be a fair assumption?
Yeah, 100%.
So what typically, like, how many times would you say you call or text or make some kind of an attempt to contact a lead that you end up getting before you just say, you know what, garbage, I'm not going to call it no more? What would you say that the number would be?
I don't think there is a number. With KV Core, like it takes a lot of contacts until I finally get a hold of somebody, for the most part, or to get in contact with somebody who actually wants to book an appointment. But with KV Core, I love it because there's a lot of stuff that you can automate in there that I have worked on and set up. So if somebody comes in and registers on my website, they're getting hit with text messages and emails 40 times in 30 days. And then when they respond, if there's a phone number in there, I'm calling them on top of all those touches too. So I don't think there's a number that's like you give up on it until somebody says, hit the road.
Sure.
So yeah.
And most real estate agents, unfortunately, the statistics tell us that they'll try 1 to 2 times and that's it. And the thing that is easy for people to remember, vernacular wise, is 10 by 10. So, 10 contacts over the first 10 days minimum. Now, what you have is a campaign that's automatically doing it, but we're saying at least physically, you're texting them physically or picking the phone up and calling them at least 10 attempts before you're stopping. And then, you can put a campaign in place that automatically does that. But that automatically. We're not going to see success depending solely on an automated campain.
I think that's the hardest part. Like the first year or two in the business, making those calls and stuff is intimidating, especially with that young kind of thing in the back of my mind, right? It was hard to get past that. And I completely forgot about this, but this year has been such a crazy year for me. And there was one day when I came into my dad's office and I was telling him, we just hit this many ends, whatever. And he's like, I'm going to remind you of something. I don't know if you remember this, but did you know, like he said, do you remember like a year and a half ago, like you were ready to quit real estate? And I honestly, I forgot about it, but last winter, I think, or might've been the winter before that, I remember, like you were talking about at the beginning, with those ups and downs, and it's a battle to make those phone calls every day. And especially when you have something in the back of your mind where you're like, any doubt or whatever, it's hard to get through those and like you said, eat the frog and make those phone calls. It's intimidating.
Well, it is, but just like anything else, when you were working for that big team, it became part of your schedule. It was your routine. You started creating a habit.
Right.
And the most success you're going to see is creating healthy habits. And if you have more healthy habits than unhealthy habits, you're going to start seeing success in all those different parts of your life. And since we're talking about real estate sales here, we're talking about that relentless pursuit of, getting in contact and creating opportunities to fill what we call your opportunity pipeline. Not every lead's going to pan out. Not every even client that you start working with one-on-one may pan out. Some may bomb, right? But creating this opportunity pipeline, which I believe has to be one of the keys to your success, because if you were on this trip, this roller coaster, we call it, all that meant to me is you didn't have enough opportunities lined up, right?
Yeah.
And once that pipeline starts to get full of opportunities, and that could be from leads, it could be from referral, it could be from sphere of influence, it could be from, putting marketing out there and marketing yourself, as what we like to call it, the digital president of your area, where your sphere of influence and the people that you're connected with on social see you everywhere, because you're doing a great job of marketing yourself as the go-to expert in your area. You're never going to have to worry about, another client again. You're never going to have to worry about where your next transaction's coming from, which is the biggest pain point, like we mentioned earlier, for agents that are looking to grow their business. So, right. Man, congratulations and hats off. What does it look like now today? I mean, we were talking again before the broadcast started, and now you have a slightly different issue that you're dealing with as it relates to, time and your schedule.
Yeah. So now my big pain point is my scalability of how can I maximize my time better? Because, there's a lot of leads coming in that I feel like I got to work the same amount that I've been working, I was working before, but now with more transactions happening, it obviously takes up more of my time. So the next step is going to be scaling and making sure that, I can continue to grow at this rate that I've been growing at without plateauing. So that'll be the big thing for 2021. But scalability is kind of the new pain point.
So when we talk about scalability, the number one thing you're looking for is leverage, right? Yeah. Leverage in your business. Sometimes and oftentimes, leverage costs money. It could be in the form of a hire. Kind of explain, like you're part of, the Nadeau team, right? Nadeau team. And there's leverage that exists within the team. Explain a little bit how the team has kind of helped you leverage your business, because it's probably all you've known, right? Is that kind of leverage, the people that are there helping you. Explain a little bit about what you would say the top 2 things that you love about being part of that team as far as on a leverage standpoint.
Well, so I've been able to duplicate myself this year, because I think the most time-consuming thing that we do as realtors is showing properties. So having a bunch of buyers agents and stuff that are on our team. Well, we don't necessarily have buyers and listing agents, but having a lot of agents that may have a little bit more time on their hands, I was able to duplicate myself. So in those really heavy months, I was able to send them on showings. We have a fee guide and everything that goes into that, so I can pay them to do so. As opposed to hiring a full-on buyer's agent, we just have like smaller fees as for doing specific tasks. So basically, I could be showing 3 or 4 houses at a time to a couple of different clients in the same afternoon, where another set of clients or 2 was getting shown properties by another one of our agents. That was a big thing that I had to do this year. But a lot of the admin stuff, the second that we switched to EXP, was handled because of Sky Slope and everything else. Like, a lot of the time, those little time-consuming things, it was just dealt with overnight. So a lot of that stuff, being knocked out right off the hop, was definitely helpful as well to help me leverage my time. So I'm doing the highest and best use of my time during the day, right?
Love it, man. What we call that are HLAs, or high leveraged activities. So anyone that's listening in, you're an agent looking to grow your business. When you get to a level of success, you're doing 40 sides. This kid is be doing this year. I mean, just banging it out. The next thing that you're going to be looking for isn't the next lead. The next thing you're looking for is that next leverage point. And so why we want leverage is so that you can focus on the highest leverage activities. Said differently, it would be the activities that pay you the highest dollar per hour. And just so you guys know, a writer downer here, one of the lowest dollar per hour activities you could be doing is paperwork, showing and opening up doors for buyers for homes. You can leverage those activities out, because the highest leveraged activities you could be doing is listing a home or writing a contract and negotiating contracts. Those 3 things typically. And then, if you're a broker or a team leader, or you're trying to grow your organization, recruiting would be another HLA, or high leveraged activities. But those are the 3 things as a real estate agent trying to grow your business that you should be doing. Everything else, try to get off your plate. Admin activities, try to get off your plate. You can do it one of 2 ways. You can make a hire, or you can be jumping on a team, like the Nadeau team that has the staff that's already in place, and you're not going to have to stroke that check for payroll every month, because the team organization does. So, there's different ways that, you can get out there and grow your business. What would you tell anyone who's looking to grow their business? They're in your area, they've been stuck, maybe they're hitting that ceiling, and they're like, you know what? It's time for me to burn the boats. Where I'm at, I'm ready to move forward and grow my business and hook my latch to these guys' boat and wagon. What would you tell them to do? How would they get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, you can reach out to myself or my dad, Pierre. Obviously, I'd love for you to contact me, but with the systems and stuff that's been implemented with the team, especially with EXP, all the training and stuff that's offered there, it's a lot easier to grow your business, over here. And I think you used the best analogy yesterday. You said, what you have to ask yourself, what your brokerage, your team, or wherever you are, what is it doing for you? And that is a vehicle to get you from point A to point B, right? So you could take a bicycle or a Lamborghini. You got to ask, the bicycle will get you there. It'll get you to where you want to be. But obviously, sorry, you're a McLaren guy. The McLaren will get you there a lot faster and a lot easier. So, but honestly, I think if anybody does have, some of the pain points that, I've talked about, or things that have gone on, in my business that I think we might be able to help with, just reach out to me. I don't think that, there's no obligation to come over and join the team or join EXP or whatever, but there's a ton of phenomenal stuff that's going on over here that I think people owe it to themselves to at least hear about. Because I think, especially EXP is changing the real estate industry forever. So it's pretty exciting. So yeah, so don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd love to help in any way I can.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing your story with everybody. I hope that the people listening We're writing some stuff down and getting value out of it. But reach out to Pat. His handle, I think that's your Instagram, is at Pat Nadeau _exp.com.
Yep.
Or message him through Facebook, because this is gonna be on Facebook, obviously.
Yep.
And man, congratulations! Super proud of you. Super proud of your dad, your whole family. Amazing family. Can't wait to see what you do in 2021. And as we say in the Honey Badger group, we'll see you at the top or from the top.
Absolutely. Cheers, brother.
Take care, man. Have a good one.